It has been said that when solar activity rises like that, there could be a lot of death, there could be disease, there could be wars, there could be psychological imbalances, there could be a lot of turmoil in human life.
Most recently, it had a Venus gravity assistant, so now it's going to fly within 3.83 million miles of the surface of the sun, which is closer than any human-made object has ever gone before.
As we approach 2025, space agencies like NASA, NOAA, and others are ramping up efforts to educate the public about the potential impact of solar flares. We are currently in solar cycle 25, which began in December 2019. This cycle is expected to reach its solar maximum around July 2025, when solar activity, including solar flares and coronal mass ejections, will be at its peak. Scientists predict that this solar maximum could be as strong as or stronger than the last cycle. Let's take a fascinating trip back in time. Around 774 to 775 AD, researchers discovered evidence of a colossal solar flare, now called the first Miyake event, by analyzing ancient tree rings. This flare was potentially 10 to 20 times stronger than the infamous Carrington event of 1859. The Carrington event, observed by British astronomer Richard Carrington, was the most intense geomagnetic storm in recorded history. Auroras lit up skies worldwide, even in places like the Caribbean and Hawaii, and were so bright that people could read newspaper by their glow. The most tangible effects were seen in the primitive telegraph systems of the time. Spark discharges shocked telegraph operators and even set papers ablaze. Telegraph systems operated without batteries due to induced currents from the geomagnetic storm. Wires melted and many telegraph stations were rendered inoperative. The good news: this happened in the 19th century without serious consequences. The bad news: scientists warn that in 2025, Earth could face even more powerful solar storms caused by coronal mass ejections, massive clouds of charged plasma hurtling through space. These storms could disrupt satellites, scramble GPS, and damage power grids, potentially causing widespread blackouts and communication failures. Entire cities could lose power. The internet could go dark, and global economies might suffer. The question is, are we prepared? However, Sadhguru takes it a step further, discussing the profound impact solar flares can have on the human body and mind. He suggests that these cosmic events can either be transformative or catastrophic, depending on how we respond to them. Let's hear it directly from Sadhguru.
This is going to be, next few years, a charged up time on this planet. Are we going to use this charge for transformation, realization, or are we going to stab at each other, kill each other, do something terrible to each other because some stimulus is happening in our body? We don't have equanimity, then we will damage each other. This is where we are. You will watch it as it progresses. And there is enough scientific study today to support this, but these solar flares have been marked in the yogic calendar in the past. Whenever solar flares rose to a certain pitch, it is happening all the time, but certain times, I don't think there is any particular kind of time table for that. It is just happens for whatever reasons. I don't think anybody has really figured out why it happens and why the timing of it. Because probably the cycles may be in millions of years, there is nobody here to observe that, exactly why it happens at a certain given time. Our observations are all of a few centuries, so we really do not know. But whenever these solar flares happen, great yogis rose in that culture. At the same time, battles happened, disastrous events happened, sometimes earthquakes happened because the magnetic forces in the planet and the thermal forces in the core of the planet are all being influenced by the solar flares. So, if a volcano erupts, if you have a gallery view of a volcano going off full on, what a fantastic view, you wouldn't want to miss it, isn't it? Only if you're at the foothills and you're going to become part of the molten stone, that's not a good thing. So every force in the world is like this. So, when something like this is happening, the populations on the planet should have the wisdom to get themselves to the right place so that this extra force that is being exerted upon this planet could work to our advantage. This is why approaching every aspect of your life becomes super important. Otherwise, there will be pain, there will be death, there will be problems. At least, if we cannot change the whole world, that also should not be impossible in today's level of communication. Because never before we could communicate with people as we can do today because of the technologies we have. Using the technologies and the solar flares, we can make this next 4.5 years tremendous time for humanity. But if we don't, at least segments of society, segments of human population could rise. Those who do not make use of it, we do not know how it'll go. It's not like some kind of sweeping disaster will happen, earthquake will happen, flood will happen, it's not necessarily like that. But there is an extra stimulus on all the energies that work upon this planet.
Tensions are definitely on the rise globally. With Russia already in the middle of its war with Ukraine, rumor has it that North Korean troops have joined the war side by side with Russia. And when Ukraine got the green light from President Biden to use ATACMS missiles on Russian targets, Putin was not exactly thrilled, warning that it could shake up Russia's nuclear stance. It's enough to make you wonder what if these regional spats decide to go global. Meanwhile, in the Middle East, things are anything but calm, with Israel and Iran still at odds. And over in Asia, we have got China and Taiwan keeping everyone on edge, not to mention the South Korea-North Korea showdown, and North Korea's love for missile tests. However, Sadhguru emphasizes that these tensions can be minimized through greater understanding and cooperation among people. He advocates resolving conflicts through diplomatic channels and utilizing this heightened energy in a constructive way to help humanity reach new heights. There are some good news too, like on December 24, NASA's Parker Solar Probe made history by flying closer to the Sun than any spacecraft ever, just 3.8 million miles from its surface. After a 7-day communication silence, the probe confirmed its health, marking another milestone in its mission.
NASA's Parker Solar Probe, which launched in 2018, has been using Venus gravity assist to get closer and closer to the Sun. And most recently, it had a Venus gravity assist, and so now it's going to fly within 3.83 million miles of the surface of the Sun, which is closer than any human-made object has ever gone before.
Things are getting interesting. Breaking barriers and exploring uncharted territory. The Parker Solar Probe is bringing us closer than ever to understanding the mysteries of our star.
For those unfamiliar with Sadhguru or spirituality, his idea of using solar flares to elevate human consciousness may seem confusing or pseudoscientific. This skepticism is natural in a world where education emphasizes material success over existential exploration. Sadhguru's teachings go beyond survival and success, addressing profound questions about our purpose and existence. Even many Isha brahmacharis and volunteers may resonate with Sadhguru's teachings, but understanding how to harness specific cosmic phenomena like solar flares for spiritual growth might be beyond their grasp. That's why Sadhguru frequently places Ma and Swamis on distinct sadhanas. It also explains why Sadhguru often says, "Now I want to focus on things that only I can do." To better understand this, let's use an analogy. Imagine a child from a remote Amazonian tribe who encounters a helicopter for the first time. The helicopter's owner claims it can fly, but the child, rooted in his culture and content with a simple life of hunting, sharing meals, and playing with family and friends, might dismiss it as irrelevant or untrustworthy. For him, the helicopter holds no value, it doesn't align with his way of life. Now consider another group of people who understand that helicopters can fly but don't know how to operate one. They can only benefit from the helicopter if someone else pilots it for them. This is where many Isha volunteers and brahmacharis might find themselves, aware of the potential but dependent on Sadhguru to guide them. Finally, there is Sadhguru, the skilled pilot who not only knows how to operate the helicopter but can also use it to explore various destinations at different speeds. Similarly, he understands how to harness cosmic phenomena like solar flares to elevate human consciousness and facilitate spiritual processes. When solar flares are at their peak, they create a unique opportunity for human consciousness to evolve. As Sadhguru has mentioned, this period is ideal for completing consecrations. Upcoming events such as Devi consecrations in Tennessee and Bengaluru are examples of how these cosmic alignments are being utilized for spiritual growth.